Gaming changes people's lives. We absolutely know that. And what we want to do is use the power of gaming to improve the mental health and change the lives of people aged over 50.
Hi everyone, I'm Martha, and this is the Upsides of Gaming, a podcast about the positive influence of video games. Together, we are going to explore how video games can improve education, save our environment, build community, and aid our mental and physical health. I have for you 8 episodes, 8 fantastic conversations with fabulous people. Welcome back to the second episode. It is a pleasure to talk today to Lee Willows. Lee has built many successful charities over the years, and he's a founder and executive chair of Community Care Gaming. His goal at the moment is to understand how esports and VR might reduce loneliness and social isolation and reduce risk factors for dementia. Super interesting conversation, so let's get started. Lee, thank you for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure to see your face and your smile. Nobody can see it now, but you're just smiling all the time.
I really am. No, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today as well. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Could you introduce yourself briefly to the audience?
Yeah, so hi everybody. So my name is Lee Willows, and I'm the incredibly proud founder of a community interest company called ESG Gaming.
Could you tell us a bit what you were doing before ESG, what you were involved in, and then we're gonna jump into ESG to tell people more about the goodness you are bringing to the world.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I reached a half-century milestone this last year. So I turned 50 years old last year,
Oh my
and
gosh, amazing.
I've still got my zest and zing for life. So even at 50 years old, I'm still innovating and still incorporating new organizations. ESG Gaming is now the fourth not-for-profit organization that I've set
Oh
up
wow.
um, in the last 20 years. So I'm hoping it'll be my final one, turning 50 years old, and I'm hoping that we'll keep going for the next sort of 15 years or so until I go off and sit on the beach somewhere nice and warm with my partner and retire to a nice hot climate to escape the UK.
Fantastic. So what were the previous companies you started? If you would like
Yeah,
to talk
so
about them, of course.
yeah. No, of course. I mean, I've been predominantly involved in education all my life. So I was a former youth worker, a former teacher, and then fell into the third sector or the voluntary sector, and progressed up through that sector to running quite large CEO, to running quite large charities in the position of director or chief executive. Um, and really, it was, I guess, what got me into entrepreneurship was a personal experience that I had. I had a gambling addiction in the past, and that was the catalyst for me to establish my first not-for-profit organisation. And then working with the staff team rather humbly, we grew that organisation, to sort of be
Yeah.
quite a large multi-million pound charity, reaching out to millions of young people every single year. So I've had that real experience of both working in an absolute startup where there's no staff, there's no resources, there's nothing apart from bags and bags of enthusiasm,
Yeah.
through to sort of leading those organizations to be quite meaty beasts where there is lots of money, lots of staff, and actually going through those sort of growth pains, really. So, yeah, I think with ESG Gaming, we are probably in that small camp at the moment, but certainly I guess, our social ambition or our social purpose is quite ambitious because we particularly want to look at how gaming, esports, and virtual reality can help reduce social isolation and loneliness for those aged 50 years and over. really important to me as the organisation's founder, and really important to me as I actually myself, as I said a moment ago, did turn 50 years old last year. Secondly, we want to use, again, gaming VR to see if we can slow down the rate of dementia. Again, personal to me as the founder, because we tragically lost some relatives to dementia a couple of years ago. And then the final bit of our social purpose is also to look at if gaming, esports and virtual reality, if we can provide education around strokes as well to the population.
Oh, wow.
So social isolation, loneliness, dementia and strokes, all for the 50-year-old bracket is sort of where we are as an organisation. So I think we're quite unique. There's a lot of really good work
Definitely,
happening, a lot of amazing work happening actually with young people, really good work, and all those benefits that young people get from esports. I'm quite keen and curious and determined to work with everybody in the ecosystem to apply those very, very good principles and learning through to the older population.
That sounds absolutely fantastic, and it's a lot to uncover there.
Yeah.
So what are the products you are offering at the moment?
Yeah, so to deliver our social purpose around, reducing social isolation, loneliness, slowing down the rate of dementia, and providing education around strokes, we've got probably two products that we deliver. So the first product is a workshop. So it's a half-day workshop, and we go into community halls, we go into community settings, we go sort of anywhere where there is people of 50 years old and over. So think of like the Rotary Club, think of nursing homes, think of charities, think of NHS settings, and we facilitate to both the residents but also the professionals as well within those establishments a half-day workshop which looks at both esports and virtual reality, and we sort of unpack a little bit about what they are. Number one, we unpack a little bit around, can they help with, because your brain is a muscle, obviously,
Yeah.
and there's a particular part of your brain that needs to be constantly stimulated because it does slow down as we age. So again, with all of the with all the stuff happening, with the fast pace of gaming, with the immersive experience of virtual reality, it's really good for that. So our half-day workshop provide an opportunity for delegates to get some sort of hands-on experience of both gaming, and for many of them, they're probably experiencing virtual reality for the same time, for the first time as well, completely the first time, and that's really special because I think, well, if I take the esports bit first, the gaming bit first, so we've set up things like Pac-Man on the computer. When we started ESG gaming, we thought we could do Fortnite, we could do Fall Guys, we could do Rocket League, we could do these amazing games. But actually, what we learned rather quickly is that people who are 50 years and over, one, quite like the nostalgicness of gaming.
Yeah.
So they quite like playing Pac-Man and things like that. Plus also, and probably more importantly, as you get older, your brain just slow down a little bit. So, I'm sure if we look at our children, they are constantly, sort of watching the screen, playing the screen, muzzing around with the controller. For people of 50 years and plus, we've got to slow it right down, really.
It needs to be paced.
So we provide sort of arcade games and everything, which are really popular. And then we was also curious to look at virtual reality because virtual reality is something that's been around for a long time now. It's something that is sort of getting traction, but it's not fully mainstream yet. And certainly, if you look at the future, virtual reality, mixed reality, it's becoming more prevalent in society today. And a perfect example of this is if you go onto to H&M or a clothing brand, you can actually, sort of take a picture of yourself and you can wear an item of clothing, you can wear a piece of jewelry or things like that. So that sort of mixed reality is actually happening now. And we wanted to bring that mixed reality, bring that virtual reality, and introduce people over 50 years old to it, because it could be I guess it can be such a platform for good. So within ESG Gaming, we've created this amazing thing called the ESG Gaming Dome.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine you're on Brighton Beach, and imagine you're in a beautiful clear dome, a bit like the Eden Project actually. So it's a huge dome, very spacious, very airy, and you enter this dome, which is on Brighton Beach, because actually when you've got your VR headset on and you stood in the dome looking out the windows, you can see, you can see Brighton Beach, you can see the wheel, you can see Brighton Pier. So that wrap around the dome, we can change it to any other environment. So our team, we facilitated workshops, for example, in Lisbon. So we've done a Lisbon wraparound, and today we're doing this podcast in December. So it's, we're getting ready for Christmas now, and actually, coincidentally, we are going to Norway in January next year.
Wow.
So we're going to do a winter wraparound as well. So it's that dome. It really can be anywhere in the world with that visual wraparound. And then when you enter the dome itself, you've got different rooms or different experiences you can go into. So one of the ones that are quite popular is the ESG Gaming Art Gallery. So again, imagine you go to this really super duper amazing art gallery, and ordinarily you would look at a photo or look at a painting or look at a piece of artwork and you would admire it. Actually, with virtual reality, we can actually enter that artwork. So imagine seeing a picture of London in the 1920s, a high street in London in the 1920s. It would be, wow, what an amazing picture. But actually, with virtual reality, you can then enter that picture and stand on that very high street in 1920, with the horses going up and down and everything like that. And, there are a number of artworks we've got in our art gallery which sort of bring nostalgia to life, because again, that dome is aimed at those 50 years and over. So that's art gallery as one example of where virtual reality can take learning and take what we do to a whole new dimension. Another space we've got is the fitness and meditation room.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you go upstairs in the dome this time, so you're now on the upper level of the dome. So you've got an even better bird's eye view of, in this case, Brighton Beach all around you. You've got the sounds of seagulls, you've got the sound of the sea. We can put some gentler music on, and we can then facilitate yoga sessions or meditation sessions. And the great thing about the dome, we can have up to 200 people in there.
Oh, wow,
so we've never had 200 people.
Wow.
We've never had 200 people, but we can get small groups of people, all with headsets on, and we can all see each other because we'll all enter as avatars, and actually quite realistic avatars as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be talking to each other through our headsets, and we'll all be doing this yoga session. And again, just imagine for a moment that you are a older person. You may be in a nursing home, you may be sort of stuck at home. So the opportunity to escape for half an hour to a beach or a mountainside or something and do yoga, do Pilates is great for your mental health, but also the actual the actual fitness of doing yoga and Pilates is also good for your physical health as well. And then the final, I'll just give you one more example of another room we've got. We've got an auditorium. Now, we haven't done this yet, but the plan for the auditorium is we can run comedy nights in there. We can run presentations and talks in there. And we did do a tea dance in there a couple of months ago. So again, we got a dozen people over 50 years old, all in their headsets, and we had a Frank Sinatra avatar suddenly enter the auditorium. Everybody turned round and gave Frank Sinatra a round of applause. Frank Sinatra then got on the stage and started singing, and we had a couple of residents in the nursing home literally standing up with their husbands or wives or
Yeah.
whatever in their headsets, and they were dancing together.
Oh
And
my
for them,
God, that's amazing.
it actually took them back to when they were, they. I think the word in those days was called courting. So when they were courting, yeah, when they were dating their partner, husband, wife, or whatever, yeah, it's so virtual reality. It's such a powerful medium to, sort of bring back memory recall, to bring back those memories, and the Dome by ESG Gaming is all about that nostalgia, and it's just amazing, actually, absolutely amazing.
That's mind blowing. I just want to experience this almost straight away. The
Yeah.
way you're describing is awesome, but um, yeah, I just can imagine it.
There's a really good if you go into the ESG Gaming website, so esggaming.org, there's a tab called the Dome. If you click on that tab, we've created a few fly-throughs, so you can actually visually see on your computer. You can fly through the Dome, and you can see what it's like, a bit of a bird's eye view, really, just to give you, a bit
Yeah.
of a sense of what it looks like and everything as well.
Okay, so how people can experience it? Where is it available? Can you come to people, or they need to travel? Where can you experience it?
Yeah, well, so at the moment, as a startup organization, we're on a journey. And the first part of our journey was to develop this dome, number one,
Yeah.
develop the content within the dome, number two, and then build a workshop around experiencing the dome and esports, and then delivering that workshop. And that's what we're doing at the
Hmm.
moment. Our plan is that we would come to your venue, myself and some of the ESG gaming team. We bring all the headsets, we bring all the gaming gear, we set up effectively
Yeah.
in the room, and then we deliver that workshop, of which the Dome is part of that facilitated workshop. I guess our journey as a startup is we want to sort of do that really, really well
Yeah.
and have lots and lots of workshops, and we're at that stage at the moment. I think stage two for us is to start to enable consumers then to enter the Dome without having to attend a workshop. So almost
Okay.
make it freely available so that you or I or anybody could enter that Dome and experience it. I think the challenge, if I look at, for instance, the Meta marketplace, there's some amazing worlds on the Meta marketplace, but one criticism of a lot of those spaces is they're quite empty.
Yeah.
So again, we can put the space out there, it can be superb, but it would be an empty experience. I think what's quite enriching and quite nice is when we facilitate the workshops, at least we can have 10, 12, 14 people experiencing that whole immersive experience together.
Yeah.
So for us, it's how do we create that dome whereby people will have an enriched experience with their peer group. And I guess the other sort of aspect to our workshop, which was an unintended consequence, is that imagine older parents or even grandparents, which is our key audience, experiencing, playing esports, playing games, and experiencing the Dome. Actually, they bring along their children or grandchildren as well. So again, what we find is that it helps to sort of build that intergenerational gap because I saw many parents might think, oh, my kids are playing on the computer all day, what they're doing,
Yeah.
but actually come to an ESG gaming workshop and actually come and find out what they're doing. Because in their world, particularly young people's world, you can have a phenomenal career within gaming and
Yeah.
esports. But as an older generation, because we don't necessarily understand the world that they live in today, some parents are quite dismissive of that. So again, the ESG game workshops have got the power to connect, sort of younger players or younger people with their parents and grandparents as well, in a rather cool, fab, and engaging way as well.
That sounds fab. Literally fab. Right, so that's Dome that ESG is providing and organizing, but you also run a research hub, and you've got a theory of change, which I want to find out about more.
So, as well as providing absolutely a fantastic workshop, a fantastic learning experience, I guess the question is, what's the end game? So, as a not-for-profit organisation, how do you deliver your social purpose?
Yes.
So, if I was to get my crystal ball out now, I think, wouldn't it be amazing if we can actually prove through a clinical trial that gaming, esports, and virtual reality can improve social isolation, loneliness, can slow down the rate of dementia, and can increase education for strokes.
Yeah.
So with that view of that crystal ball, moving towards we're going to have a clinical trial. Actually, we need to make sure that what we're delivering it is well thought through, is well evidence based, is well researched, and is well evaluated. So, alongside those amazing products that we deliver, we've also got a research hub, and this is something that again a couple of the ESG gaming team have really helped us to develop, because we want to make sure that we're learning from, other jurisdictions around the world. We're learning around, where older people do engage in technology and gaming. What do they like about it? What do they find useful about it? And does it actually improve cognition skills, memory retention, etc.? So we've produced a variety of, I think the technical term are literature reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at a lot of literature. We've reviewed that literature and we have published those reviews on our research hub. And certainly going forward, it's important that we start to do some external evaluation of what we're delivering as well, and again publish that and use that as well to further improve what we do. But our end game is to show demonstrated evidence that gaming, that esports, and that virtual reality does do what we think it should do as part of our social purpose, really. And then if we can do that, if we can prove it, so if we can do it, if we can prove it, then for an organisation like ESG Gaming, we could then perhaps start talking to the NHS and have it as a critical pathway as part of community care for those over 50 or 60 years old who might be suffering from depression, who may be feeling isolated or lonely, or who want to keep their motor skills active to potentially slow down the rate of dementia as well. So it's almost a sort of a preventative health slant to what we're trying to do as well within our organisation. And then the final bit of the question is a theory of change.
Yes.
So again, it's really, I'm actually doing my MBA at the moment as well.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
In my spare time, as you do, which I finish next year, and I might even go on to do a PhD. So at
please.
51,
why not?
Even at 51 years old, well, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But again, you need to a not-for-profit organisation. You've really got to understand, your outputs, your outcomes, your inputs, so you really can understand and measure your social impact. So we actually work with Miscom Derrea to put together our theory of change. And what our theory of change is, you actually start off at the end of your theory of change. So imagine a landscape sheet of A4 paper. On the right-hand side of that landscape, you'll have what your social purpose is. So for us, it's around reducing social isolation, loneliness, slowing down the rate of dementia, provide education around strokes. So then on your sheet of paper, that's what we want to try and achieve as an not-for-profit organisation. but how do you get there?
Yeah.
What's going to be your outcomes, your outputs? So you list those there. So what's those tiny steps you're going to do to realise your social purpose? So for us, it's around delivering workshops. It's giving people experiences. It's getting those workshops evaluated. It's building an evidence base up. It's evaluating what we do. It's getting pre and post questionnaires. It's rolling the products out across the country. It's having strategic partnerships with local authorities, with healthcare charities, and with charities like Age UK, Dementia, Dementia UK, and Alzheimer's Society. And then the first column on that bit of paper is all the evidence.
Yeah.
So again, just to recap, so we've got what you're trying to do, and what the stepping stones to get there, and what evidence do you need, actually. So that's what our theory of change effectively does, and we've developed that just to make sure that we, though we want to, give great workshops and have a really great afternoon, which we do, there has got to be a health benefit to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because, as I said earlier, our end goal really is to try and move towards a clinical trial. If we can move towards a clinical trial and then we can prove that virtual reality esports is good for people over 50 years old, and it minimises people to go to hospital. It keeps people active for longer, both physically and mentally, and also through gaming and esports, you can make friends online as well. So actually making friends of your age, of your same age group, and everything as well. It would be brilliant.
You know what? I forgot what I need to ask next because
right.
no, in a way, but I've got a jaw drop. You're just inspiring. Oh my god.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's very kind of you to say that. But I think what inspires me is, if we think about ESG gaming and the other startups that have set up, they've all started in a coffee shop, 9 times out of 10. They've all started with a sheet of A4 paper, or in the case of ESG gaming,
maybe napkin.
not a napkin, not a napkin. Yeah, sheet of A4 paper. But actually, in the case of ESG gaming, it was an iPad because we're a bit more technologically advanced now.
Sorry.
But it's a meeting of minds. It's actually there is a need here to do this, and it's creating social benefit. If we wanted to become rich, we would have created a private limited company with shares.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not interested in becoming rich. What I'm interested in, and the team at ESG Gaming, we're all absolutely committed to, is becoming rich through delivering huge social impact to society. And if you look across, the UK, actually look across the world, aging populations are a real challenge. And actually, for me, if I can imagine myself in 20 years, there'll be more older people than what there are younger people, and that'll be a huge burden upon the governments of those different countries, upon the social security, pensions, everything. So again, if we can start thinking now of what that future might look like, so that we can work towards a better future. And that's what that's the inspiring bit for us, and that's what inspires the work that we do.
I also that was another thing which surprised me. It's the first time in a long time I found out company actually saying that we challenge conventional thinking and embrace difference.
Oh, that's our values. Yeah, that's our values. Yeah. Do you know that the real great thing about establishing and leading a not-for-profit organisation is you don't have to make money for other people. You can make money to deliver your own social purpose and absolutely change people's lives.
Yeah.
And certainly what I've learned from my mentors who are supporting me with my apprenticeship in esports at the moment is esports is really all about the community. And if you are a grassroots esports team, so you're voluntary run, or if you are a creative, you want to do some stuff in this space through the lens of creativity, it can be really difficult sometimes to get funding
Yeah,
to help you to
absolutely.
do stuff. And you probably know that as well. So a really important sort of founding principle of ESG gaming is that if we are successful as a not-for-profit organisation, we do want to donate an element of our surplus each year to others within the space. So it's almost, growing that esports ecosystem. So what specifically we have done in the past couple of years, we've worked with Sam Cook from Esports Insider, and many of your listeners will be aware that he runs the ESI events, both in London and in Lisbon, and leaders events, lots of events within this
Yeah.
esports space. And ESG Gaming, we've been fortunate to work with them to deliver the ESI Film Festival. So we have sent out a call. We've been, Esports Insider and ESG Gaming. So we've done a call out to creatives literally across the world, and we've said we'd love you to make a film. And what ESG Gaming has been able to do is put up the prize fund for those film winners. So, incredibly inspiring. Our first winner last year was Emma Rose, a
Champion.
Commonwealth winner, champion, absolutely brilliant. And she created a really moving yet inspirational video about her journey within esports as a trans lady. Absolutely brilliant. And we were able to, sort of support Emma because she won that prize. And then this year, again, we've had a chap from America, again, did his story through esports, and it was about him growing up and some of the bullying and everything that went on as well. So again, he captured, Chuck and Fern, he captured his own story as well. And Emma's story was showcased at BAFTA in London. How cool is that?
It's awesome.
Absolutely amazing. And then obviously our winner in September in Lisbon was shown at the Reader over in Lisbon. So as well as working with Sam Cook to deliver those film festivals and as well as putting up the prize funding, we've also supported creators in the space as well with small sort of donations to help them buy equipment, whether that's computer equipment or IT equipment or something like that. And that's really important to us, really. I think giving back to that community, helping that community to grow and thrive, and fostering sort of innovation as well within this space is really important.
When you look at your work at the moment, where, in your opinion, is the biggest need? Which areas need more work?
So what are our sort of challenges at the moment? So income is always a challenge, number one. Number two, delivering workshops. There's myself and James Fraser Morrison. Everybody will know James Fraser Morrison, an absolute guiding light and legend within esports, and we're very proud and humbled to be working alongside James. But it is James and I that are delivering a lot of our workshops. We'd like to deliver 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times more, but then obviously, we need the income in to pay for the people to go and deliver those workshops. So money is a big important part for us. Another big important part, I think, is around evaluation. So again, as we're now becoming settled on this is what the workshop content is like. Now we're doing workshops and we're getting fairly consistent results. We want to get some external evaluation, probably from a university, again, to really help us to understand around behavioural changes of the people experiencing the dome. So what I mean by that is, imagine you've never experienced virtual reality before, you then experience the dome, you have all this interaction. Actually, what's your feeling after experiencing that? So you before and after, both knowledge, skills and behaviours. The third and biggest challenge will be around mass adoption. So how do we make the dome accessible at population-wide level? and accessible in a way whereby people aren't experiencing an empty virtual world.
Yeah.
So obviously we can restrict the timings when it's open. We're almost really like a shop almost. The door will be open on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, Friday at 6 o'clock, or whatever. And we're laughing, but actually that
Yeah.
actually might be a sensible way to do it. Because again, I think with any consumer product, it's going to take a bit of time. We've got to build, we've got to build the consumer base. So I think that's going to be a fairly big challenge as well. So when you think about delivering more workshops, you think about evaluation, you think about building that consumer base, and then you think about moving towards a clinical trial.
Yeah.
That's where that £10 million comes from. I mean, that's the sort of figures we're going to need. So we are keen to work with organisations who want to, who are making a profit from esports, are making a profit from gaming, but have a deep commitment to corporate social responsibility and a deep commitment to sustainability as well. Because working with a not-for-profit organisation like ESG Gaming, there could be some really interesting work that we could do together there. Even things like, if we were to work with a certain publisher and a certain game, we could almost run that game with that 50+ audience and do some evaluation around consumer feedback for that game. So there's lots of really interesting ways that we can work with partners, and that's what we're keen to do: work with more partners so we can raise ultimately more funding, so we can deliver more of our social purpose.
Can people volunteer with you just to help out and give their time or whatever it is to help out? Because sometimes there's just enough money to deliver a technical bit and you need someone just to help and sometimes to bring you tea because everybody's running around, I guess.
Yeah. I'm the person who makes tea in the ASU game. I tell
Okay.
you, nobody will make tea. I'll be the person who makes the tea. But do we want volunteers? So it's a really interesting one. So having worked in the third sector for all of my career, or the vast majority of my career, really good volunteer programs require, again, a team of volunteer managers to facilitate them, for them to work really well. But that said, so sort of random people doing random stuff at ESG Gaming isn't quite what we need. What we need are people who can help with, can you help us to open a door at your community centre or your workplace to come and deliver a workshop? That will be a really good volunteering opportunity. Or another really good volunteering opportunity is, can you help us with some fundraising? Can you perhaps help to write some applications, or can you run some community events? Or actually, if you are working for a publisher or somebody who is within the ecosystem, can we come and work with you and do some sort of fundraising challenge with your staff team as well? So volunteering that relates to either delivering more workshops or volunteering that relates to helping us to raise more funding. I think that would be really helpful. I would love to do that. And again, if there's any of your listeners are interested in volunteering, again, you can contact us via the ESG Gaming website, or my name is Lee Willows, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm the chap with the pink shirt. So yeah, just send me a DM. I'd love to talk to people because obviously, as you can probably tell, I'm quite passionate and quite excited about what we're trying to achieve as a not-for-profit organisation.
I can see it, but I think that people can hear it too.
Amazing.
Okay. Last question is, what does the games industry do great that different industries could take as an example?
The gaming industry provides great gaming experiences. That's what the gaming industry does. It's so good at building that community, then populating around a particular title.
Lee, absolutely amazing.
No, thank you most warmly. Thanks again for the opportunity. No, thank you again for the opportunity to come and share an afternoon with you and to speak to your listeners as well. Really grateful for all the work you do as well. And I'd love to perhaps do something in a year's time to sort of see, what our progress may have been in that next 12 months.
That's amazing. You will be my first guest, and on
Right,
the first episode, I'm telling you.
Oh, amazing!
Thank you.
Actually, on that episode, we'll have a little studio because we'll have all these volunteers, and we can all talk about. We can share that lived experience of how, sort of on a sort of ending on a note again linked to our social purpose.
Yeah.
Gaming changes people's lives. We absolutely know that. And what we want to do is use the power of gaming to improve the mental health and change the lives of people aged over 50, because the aging population globally is going to be a challenge. And I think the gaming industry can absolutely step up here and provide leadership.